might have in watching a nature documentary. This emotional is arising. This thought pattern is active. This physical sensation is present. Information, not evaluation. P stands for proceed. Now that you've stopped the reactive behavior, regulated your nervous system, and objectively observed the situation, you can proceed with a conscious response rather than an unconscious reaction. But this doesn't mean jumping right back into action. The proceed step involves making a conscious choice about how you want to respond based on your values, your goals, and your long-term interests, rather than your immediate emotional impulses. Ask yourself what response would be most aligned with the person you want to be and the outcome you want to create. If your goal is to maintain a good relationship with this person, what response would serve that goal? If your goal is to solve a problem, what response would be most effective? If your goal is to maintain your reputation and integrity, what response would support that goal? Sometimes the best choice in the proceed step is to not respond at all, at least not immediately. You might decide that you need more information before you can respond effectively. You might realize that you're still too emotionally activated to respond in a way that aligns with your values. You might determine that the situation doesn't actually require a response from you at all. Other times, the proceed step might involve having a conversation, but approaching it differently than you would have if you had reacted immediately. Instead of defending yourself, you might ask questions to better understand the other person's perspective. Instead of making accusations, you might express how you interpreted their words or actions and ask for clarification. The stop method becomes more powerful the more you practice it. At first, you might only remember to use it after you've already reacted emotionally. That's normal and still valuable because it helps you develop awareness of your patterns. Gradually, you'll start to catch yourself earlier in the process, maybe after you've started to react but before you've done serious damage. Eventually, you'll be able to implement the method as soon as you notice the early warning signs of emotional activation. The goal is not to never have emotional reactions. The goal is to never let those reactions control your behavior in ways that work against your best interests. The stop method gives you the tools to create space between stimulus and response. And in that space lies your power to create the life you want rather than just reacting to the life that happens to you. Chapter 5. Advanced Techniques for Emotional Regulation. Once you've mastered the stop method and can reliably catch yourself before emotional reactions spiral out of control, you're ready for the advanced techniques that separate true masters of emotional regulation from people who just have basic impulse control. These techniques go beyond damage control and move into the realm of emotional optimization, where you don't just manage your emotions but actually use them as tools for peak performance and enhanced decision-making. The first advanced technique is cognitive reframing. This is the ability to consciously change how you interpret a situation in order to change your emotional response to it. Most people think their emotions are caused by external events, but the truth is that emotions are caused by your interpretation of events. Change your interpretation, and you change your emotional experience. Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine you're giving a presentation, and you notice that several people in the audience are looking at their phones. Your initial interpretation might be that they're bored, that your presentation is terrible, that you're failing. This interpretation triggers feelings of anxiety, embarrassment, and self-doubt. But what if you reframed the situation? What if you interpreted their phone usage as evidence that they're so engaged with your ideas that they're taking notes or looking up related information? Suddenly, the same external situation triggers completely different emotions. The key to effective cognitive reframing is developing multiple plausible interpretations for any given situation. When something happens that triggers a negative emotional response, force yourself to come up with at least 3 alternative explanations for what's happening. One interpretation that's more positive than your initial reaction, one that's more negative, and one that's completely neutral. This exercise isn't about lying to yourself or engaging in positive thinking. It's about recognizing that your initial interpretation of events is often not the only possible interpretation, and it's usually not the most accurate one. Your brain has a tendency to jump to conclusions based on incomplete information, past experiences, and cognitive biases. Reframing forces you to consider other possibilities and choose the interpretation that's most useful for your goals and well-being. The second advanced technique is emotional labeling. This involves becoming extremely precise about identifying and naming your emotional states. Most people have a very limited emotional vocabulary. They know they feel good or bad, happy or sad, but they can't distinguish between frustration and disappointment, between anxiety and excitement, between anger and hurt. This lack of precision makes it much harder to regulate your emotions because you can't manage what you can't clearly identify. It's like trying to fix a car engine when you can only describe the problem as, "It's not working right." The more specifically you can identify what you're feeling, the more specifically you can address it. Emotional labeling works by activating your prefrontal cortex and reducing activity in your amygdala. When you put a precise name to an emotion, you literally change your brain state in ways that make the emotion less overwhelming and more manageable. Research shows that people who regularly practice emotional labeling have better emotional regulation, lower stress levels, and improved decision-making abilities. To develop this skill, start by expanding your emotional vocabulary. Instead of just feeling bad, get specific. Are you feeling disappointed, frustrated, overwhelmed, anxious, angry, hurt, or something else entirely? Instead of feeling good, are you feeling satisfied, excited, proud, grateful, content, or energized? The more precise you can be, the more control you'll have over your internal state. The third advanced technique is somatic regulation. This involves using your body to regulate your emotions rather than trying to control your emotions with your mind alone. Your emotional state and your physical state are intimately connected through your nervous system. By consciously changing your physical state, you can directly influence your emotional state. Progressive muscle relaxation is one of the most effective somatic regulation techniques. Starting with your toes and working your way up to your head, systematically tense each muscle group for 5 seconds. Then release the tension and notice the feeling of relaxation. This process helps discharge the physical energy that builds up during emotional activation and sends a signal to your nervous system that it's safe to relax. Cold exposure is another powerful somatic regulation tool. Taking a cold shower, splashing cold water on your face, or even holding ice cubes can activate your vagus nerve and quickly shift your nervous system from sympathetic activation to parasympathetic recovery. The shock of the cold forces your body to adapt, which builds resilience and improves your ability to handle stress and emotional intensity. Movement and exercise are also crucial for emotional regulation. When you're emotionally activated, your body is prepared for action. If you don't provide an outlet for that energy, it stays trapped in your system and maintains the emotional state. Even a few minutes of vigorous movement can help process the energy and return your system to baseline. The fourth advanced technique is timeline reframing. This involves consciously shifting your perspective on time to reduce the emotional impact of current difficulties. When you're in the middle of an emotional reaction, your brain has a tendency to catastrophize and assume that current problems will last forever or have permanent consequences. Timeline reframing works by asking yourself how you'll feel about the current situation in different time frames. How will you feel about this in 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year? This exercise helps put temporary problems in perspective and reduces the emotional charge around them. You can also use timeline reframing to connect with your future self. Imagine yourself 5 years from now, having successfully navigated this situation and many others like it. What advice would that future version of yourself give you about how to handle the current challenge? This perspective often reveals that the situation is less serious than it initially appeared and suggests more effective responses than emotional reactivity. The fifth advanced technique is energy management. This recognizes that your capacity for emotional regulation is not unlimited. You have a finite amount of mental energy each day, and emotional regulation requires a significant portion of that energy. If you're constantly having to regulate intense emotions, you'll eventually experience decision fatigue and lose the ability to maintain control. Energy management involves being strategic about when and where you expend your emotional regulation resources. This might mean avoiding certain people or situations when you're already stressed or tired. It might mean scheduling difficult conversations for times when you're most mentally fresh. It might mean building recovery time into your day to restore your emotional regulation capacity. Sleep, nutrition, exercise, and stress management all play crucial roles in maintaining your emotional regulation energy. When you're sleep-deprived, hungry, sedentary, or chronically stressed, your capacity for emotional control is dramatically reduced. Taking care of your physical health is not separate from emotional mastery. It's an essential component of it. These advanced techniques require practice and patience to master. Don't try to implement all of them at once. Choose one or two that resonate most with you, and focus on developing competency with those before adding others to your toolkit. Remember, the goal is not to never feel difficult emotions, but to respond to those emotions in ways that align with your values and support your long-term goals. With consistent practice, these techniques will become automatic responses that serve you in any situation life presents. Chapter 6. Building emotional resilience for long-term success. Controlling your emotions in the moment is crucial, but it's only half of the equation. The other half is building the kind of deep, unshakable emotional resilience that makes you anti-fragile. Not just strong enough to survive emotional challenges, but actually stronger because of them. This is what separates people who occasionally manage their emotions from people who have transformed their entire relationship with difficulty, stress, and adversity. Most people approach emotional resilience completely backwards. They wait until they're in crisis to try to develop coping skills. They wait until they're overwhelmed to try to build stress management techniques. They wait until they're burned out to try to create better boundaries. This is like waiting until you're drowning to learn how to swim. By the time you need the skills, it's too late to develop them effectively. True emotional resilience is built during calm periods, not during storms. It's developed through consistent daily practices that strengthen your emotional immune system so that when challenges arise, you're already prepared to handle them with grace and effectiveness. Just like physical fitness, emotional fitness requires regular training, not just crisis intervention. The foundation of emotional resilience is what I call baseline optimization. This is the daily maintenance of your mental, emotional, and physical state that keeps you operating at peak capacity. When your baseline is strong, you can handle much more stress and challenge before reaching your breaking point. When your baseline is weak, even minor difficulties can overwhelm your system. Sleep is the non-negotiable foundation of baseline optimization. When you're sleep-deprived, your amygdala becomes hyperactive, while your prefrontal cortex becomes sluggish. This means you're more likely to have emotional reactions and less able to control them. The research is absolutely clear on this. People who sleep less than 7 hours per night have dramatically reduced emotional regulation capacity. But it's not just about quantity of sleep, it's about quality. Your bedroom needs to be completely dark, cool, and quiet. No screens for at least an hour before bed. No caffeine after 2 p.m. A consistent sleep schedule that doesn't vary by more than 30 minutes, even on weekends. These aren't suggestions, they're requirements if you want to maintain emotional control under pressure. Nutrition plays a massive role in emotional stability that most people completely ignore. Your brain runs on glucose, and when your blood sugar is unstable, so are your emotions. Skipping meals, eating processed foods, consuming too much caffeine, and drinking alcohol all create biochemical conditions that make emotional regulation much more difficult. The solution is not complex, but it requires discipline. Eat protein with every meal to stabilize blood sugar. Consume omega-3 fatty acids to support brain health. Stay hydrated throughout the day. Avoid foods that cause inflammation, which includes most processed foods, excessive sugar, and foods you're sensitive to. Your emotional state is directly connected to your nutritional state. Whether you realize it or not, physical exercise is not optional for emotional resilience. When you exercise regularly, you increase production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which literally grows new brain cells and strengthens neural connections. You also increase production of neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which regulate mood and motivation. Perhaps most importantly, exercise provides a controlled stress that builds your capacity to handle uncontrolled stress. But the type of exercise matters. You need both cardiovascular exercise to build stress tolerance and strength training, to build physical confidence and mental toughness. You also need some form of movement that challenges your coordination and focus, like martial arts, dance, or sports. This builds the mind-body connection that's essential for emotional regulation. The second pillar of emotional resilience is cognitive flexibility. This is your ability to see situations from multiple perspectives, generate creative solutions to problems, and adapt your thinking when circumstances change. People with low cognitive flexibility get stuck in rigid thought patterns that amplify emotional reactions. People with high cognitive flexibility can find opportunity in adversity and maintain emotional equilibrium, even when things don't go according to plan. One of the most powerful ways to build cognitive flexibility is through regular exposure to different perspectives and ideas. Read books by authors who disagree with your worldview. Engage in conversations with people who have different backgrounds and beliefs. Travel to places that challenge your assumptions about how life works. The goal is not to abandon your values, but to expand your mental models and increase your ability to see situations from multiple angles. Another crucial component of cognitive flexibility is developing comfort with uncertainty and ambiguity. Most emotional reactions are triggered by situations that feel uncertain or out of control. If you can learn to be comfortable with not knowing exactly how things will turn out, you'll be much less likely to have emotional reactions When life doesn't go according to plan, practice making decisions with incomplete information. Set goals without knowing exactly how you'll achieve them. Engage in activities that have uncertain outcomes. The more comfortable you become with uncertainty, the more emotionally stable you'll be when facing unknown challenges. The third pillar of emotional resilience is meaning-making. People who have a clear sense of purpose and meaning in their lives are much more resilient in the face of adversity. When you know why you're doing something, when you can connect your current struggles to a larger purpose, it becomes much easier to maintain emotional control when things get difficult. This doesn't require having a grand mission to save the world. It can be as simple as being a good parent, building a successful business, or making a positive contribution to your community. The key is that your goals and activities need to be connected to something larger than immediate comfort or pleasure. Regularly reflecting on your values and priorities helps maintain this sense of meaning. What do you stand for? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of impact do you want to have? When you're clear on these questions, it becomes much easier to choose long-term thinking over short-term emotional reactions. The fourth pillar of emotional resilience is social connection. Humans are social creatures, and isolation makes emotional regulation much more difficult. Having strong, supportive relationships provides both emotional resources during difficult times and accountability that helps you maintain high standards for your behavior. But not all relationships contribute to emotional resilience. Relationships with people who are constantly dramatic, negative, or emotionally volatile will drain your emotional energy and make it harder for you to maintain control. You need relationships with people who model emotional maturity and who bring out the best in you rather than triggering your worst impulses. This means being intentional about who you spend time with. Minimize contact with people who consistently create chaos and drama in their lives. Invest more time and energy in relationships with people who are growing, learning, and working to become better versions of themselves. Your emotional state is heavily influenced by the emotional states of the people around you. The fifth pillar of emotional resilience is what I call strategic stress exposure. Just like your muscles need progressive overload to grow stronger, your emotional regulation system needs controlled challenges to develop greater capacity. If you only practice emotional control during easy times, you won't have the strength to maintain it during difficult times. This means intentionally putting yourself in situations that are slightly outside your comfort zone on a regular basis. Take on projects that are challenging but achievable. Have difficult conversations that you've been avoiding. Set goals that require you to grow beyond your current capabilities. The key is to choose your challenges rather than letting life choose them for you. Cold exposure, public speaking, martial arts training, endurance sports, and meditation retreats are all excellent forms of strategic stress exposure. They put you in controlled situations where you have to manage discomfort, uncertainty, and challenge while maintaining composure and focus. The final pillar of emotional resilience is recovery and restoration. Your emotional regulation system, like any high-performance system, needs regular maintenance and recovery. If you're constantly pushing without taking time to restore your energy, you'll eventually burn out and lose the ability to maintain emotional control. This means building regular recovery practices into your daily and weekly routine. Daily meditation or mindfulness practice. Weekly time in nature without technology. Monthly periods of complete disconnection from work and social media. Annual retreats or vacations that allow for deep rest and reflection. Recovery is not a luxury or a reward for hard work. It's a requirement for sustained high performance. Without adequate recovery, your emotional regulation capacity will gradually decline, and you'll find yourself becoming more reactive, more irritable, and less able to handle the normal challenges of life. Building emotional resilience is a long-term project that requires patience and consistency. You can't develop it overnight, but you also can't afford to wait until you need it to start building it. The time to strengthen your emotional foundation is now, while you're relatively calm and stable. Because when the storms of life hit, and they will hit, you want to be the person who remains unshakable while others are falling apart around you. Chapter 7. The Neuroscience of Emotional Transformation. Everything I've taught you so far becomes infinitely more powerful when you understand what's actually happening in your brain when you practice emotional control. This isn't just feel-good psychology or ancient wisdom, though both have their place. This is hard science. Measurable, repeatable, documented changes in brain structure and function that occur when you consistently practice the techniques of emotional mastery. Understanding the neuroscience behind emotional transformation serves two crucial purposes. First, it gives you confidence that the work you're doing is actually creating real, lasting change, not just temporary improvements. Second, it helps you optimize your practice by understanding which specific actions create the most significant neurological changes. Let's start with neuroplasticity, which is your brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout your life. For most of human history, scientists believed that adult brains were fixed and unchangeable. If you had certain emotional patterns or tendencies, you were stuck with them for life. We now know this is completely false. Your brain is constantly rewiring itself based on your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Every time you choose a thoughtful response over an emotional reaction, you strengthen the neural pathways associated with self-control and weaken the pathways associated with reactivity. Every time you practice the stop method, you're literally building new brain circuitry that makes emotional control easier and more automatic. The key insight is that your brain doesn't distinguish between what you're thinking about and what you're actually experiencing. When you mentally rehearse staying calm under pressure, your brain creates the same neural connections as if you had actually stayed calm under pressure. This means you can accelerate your emotional development by regularly visualizing yourself handling challenging situations with grace and composure. The most dramatic neuroplastic changes occur in the prefrontal cortex, which is your brain's executive center. This region is responsible for planning, decision-making, impulse control, and emotional regulation. People who regularly practice emotional control techniques show increased gray matter density in this area, meaning they literally have more brain tissue dedicated to rational thinking and self-control. Meanwhile, the amygdala, your brain's alarm system, actually shrinks in people who practice emotional regulation. This doesn't mean you become emotionless. It means your threat detection system becomes more accurate and less likely to trigger false alarms. You develop the ability to distinguish between real threats that require immediate action and perceived threats that can be handled through thoughtful response. The anterior cingulate cortex is another crucial region that changes with emotional training. This area is responsible for attention regulation and conflict monitoring. It helps you notice when you're having an emotional reaction and redirects your attention toward more constructive responses. People with stronger anterior cingulate cortexes are better at catching themselves before emotional reactions spiral out of control. The insula, which processes bodily sensations and connects them to emotional experiences, also becomes more developed in people who practice emotional awareness. This enhanced body awareness is what allows you to notice the early warning signs of emotional activation before they become full-blown reactions. You become more sensitive to changes in heart rate, muscle tension, breathing patterns, and other physical indicators of emotional state. One of the most fascinating discoveries in neuroscience is that emotional regulation practice actually changes the default mode network of your brain. This is the network of brain regions that's active when you're not focused on a specific task, often called the monkey mind, because it tends to jump from thought to thought without direction. In people who don't practice emotional control, the default mode network tends to generate repetitive, often negative thought patterns. Worry, rumination, self-criticism, and anxiety become the brain's default state. But in people who regularly practice emotional regulation techniques, the default mode network becomes quieter and more peaceful. Their baseline state becomes calm and centered, rather than agitated and reactive.